I made dinner for my in-laws after a 12-hour shift. My MIL took a bite, spat it out, and dumped the plate on my lap. "You're not wife material," she sneered. My husband laughed and took her side. The next day, I served them one final meal. And a letter that tore their world apart. I got home at 7:46 p.m. exactly. My scrubs were damp from a spill I didn't have time to clean. My feet were aching, and I had a dull throbbing in my back from standing and running all day. I hadn't eaten since a granola bar at 11 a.m. But I was used to it. I work as a trauma nurse at a hospital in Columbus, Ohio. Long shifts aren't new. What was new was walking into my own home and hearing my mother-in-law say, finally, like I was the maid showing up late. Tyler was on the couch with her. They were watching some cooking show and talking trash about the contestants. My father-in-law wasn't there, he passed away a few years ago. Diane, my MIL, has practically lived in our house ever since. What was supposed to be a short visit to heal turned into a permanent stay. Tyler didn't even look up when I walked in. "You're home late," he said, yawning. "I worked a double," I answered, walking straight to the kitchen to wash my hands. "I didn't expect a thank you. But a hello would have been nice." I started cooking right away. I wanted to just go to bed, but Diane made a comment a few days ago about how I never cook anything decent and how I'm lucky Tyler still puts up with me. So I decided to make something she couldn't talk trash about. Or so I thought. Chicken marsala. Mashed potatoes. Green beans with garlic butter. And I even pulled a cheesecake from the fridge, store-bought, yeah, but she didn't need to know that. I didn't sit down with them. I served their plates, and before I could even grab mine, Diane took a bite, made a face, spat the food into her napkin, and then stood up slowly. "This is disgusting," she said. I froze. I looked at her. Then at Tyler. He wasn't even looking at me. He was watching the TV. Then it happened. She took her plate and dumped it. On my lap. Full plate. Hot food. Right in my lap. It soaked through my scrubs. Chicken grease. Mashed potatoes. Everything. I gasped, more from shock than pain. Diane stood over me with her arms crossed. "You're not wife material," she said, like she was delivering some final verdict in a courtroom. "You're just not. You're too weak, too sloppy. You can't even make a basic dinner right." I looked at Tyler. He looked at me, then looked at her, and laughed. Laughed. Like it was a sitcom. "She's not wrong," he said, grabbing a beer. I didn't speak. Not a word. I cleaned up the mess in silence, went into the bathroom, locked the door, and sat on the floor. I stared at the beige tiles and just breathed. I could feel tears building, but I didn't let them fall. I didn't scream or cry or argue. I stayed quiet for 22 minutes. Then I got up, washed my legs, changed into clean clothes, and sat in the guest room. I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling for hours. Replaying every time Diane made me feel like trash. Every time Tyler took her side. Every moment I swallowed my pride because I didn't want to rock the boat. But something cracked in me that night. This wasn't just another insult. This was war. I woke up early. Earlier than usual. I didn't even feel tired. My body moved like I was being pulled by something. A goal. A line in the sand. I made breakfast. Big one. Scrambled eggs with cheddar. Bacon. Pancakes with blueberries. I cut up fresh strawberries and drizzled them with a little honey. Poured orange juice. Even set the table with cloth napkins. Diane came into the kitchen first. "Well, look at this," she said, raising her eyebrows. "You trying to apologize?" "Nope," I said, calmly. Tyler followed, yawning. They both sat down and started eating. Diane made a few snide comments about the juice being a little warm, but kept eating. Tyler actually said the bacon was pretty good today. They ate it all. Then I handed them each an envelope. Tyler looked confused. "What's this, coupons or something?" Read it, I said, sitting down. He opened his. Diane opened hers. It took Tyler about 30 seconds to realize what he was reading. He looked up at me like I just shot him. Wait. Are you serious? I didn't say anything. I just nodded. His letter was from my lawyer. It was official. Divorce filing, signed and stamped. Attached were copies of text messages between him and his friends where he talked about cheating. Photos from the night in Chicago. Screenshots from his group chat. One of them had him bragging about how I'd never find out because I was too busy playing nurse. I had found out. A year ago. I kept everything. I waited. And now I was ready. Diane's hands were shaking. Her letter was from the bank. It was confirmation that I had filed a fraud report for the credit card she secretly opened in my name. I attached printouts showing how she bought over $12,000 in clothes, makeup, salon visits, and fancy dinners with her friends while pretending to be me. She froze. You can't be serious, she stuttered. I am, I said. Tyler stood up. This is low. This is cruel, he said, voice raised. You laughed when your mother dumped food on me, I said. You watched it happen. That was a joke. It wasn't. He grabbed his plate and smashed it on the counter. Diane was already calling her lawyer. Her face was pale. Her hands were trembling. I didn't stick around to see the rest. I grabbed my bag, walked out, and drove straight to my sister's house in Dayton. She'd been waiting for this day. She hugged me at the door. No words. Just a hug. And that's when I finally cried. I thought walking away would be the hard part. It wasn't. The hard part was what came next. A week after I left, Tyler started blowing up my phone. Texts. Calls. Voicemails. At first, he tried playing the victim. You embarrassed me in front of my mother. Why would you do this to our family? You're blowing things way out of proportion. Then he switched tactics. I messed up. I'm sorry. Let's fix this. I can change. I didn't respond. Not once. The only time I spoke to him was through my lawyer. He didn't take that well. One night, around 11:30 p.m., my sister and I heard a car engine outside. She peeked through the blinds and whispered, "It's him." He was parked across the street in his beat-up Civic. Just sitting there with the headlights off. I stayed quiet. My sister called the cops. By the time they showed up, he was gone. The officer told us they couldn't do much since he wasn't on our property, but he made a note of it. I filed a police report the next day. Just in case. That same week, Diane's situation took a turn. She tried to deny the fraud, said she had my verbal permission to open the card. But when the investigator asked her to produce a written agreement or text messages confirming that, she couldn't. Because there were none. She doubled down. Said I was just out for revenge. Said I was emotionally unstable. That backfired too. Because I had receipts. Bank statements, emails, delivery logs. Even a phone call I had recorded when she once admitted using my name because it just made things easier. Her case was getting ugly. A lawyer friend told me she could be facing felony charges. But she wasn't done trying to drag me through the mud. One morning, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was a screenshot of a Facebook post. Diane had written a long sob story on her page, claiming I had ruined her life, broken up a happy marriage, and was now living off her son's money. Hundreds of comments. Some people believed her. Old church friends. Neighbors. A few even messaged me directly, saying I should be ashamed. I didn't respond. Instead, I made my own post. Simple. Just the screenshots of the credit card charges, with her name on the statements. And one of her texts to Tyler, "Don't worry. I'll handle her. Just let me ruin her spirit a little more and she'll leave on her own." The post exploded. People saw the truth. She deleted hers the next day. But Tyler wasn't done either. I got a call from my HR department. Someone had submitted an anonymous complaint saying I was stealing drugs from the hospital. I was floored. I sat there in the office, heart pounding, while my supervisor explained they were required to do a full investigation. It was protocol. I knew it had to be Tyler or Diane. No one else hated me that much. The next few days were hell. They pulled my med-cart logs, interviewed coworkers, checked badge access, camera footage, the whole 9 yards. I was clean. Of course I was. I've never even taken an Advil from work. Once they cleared me, I sat in my car and shook with rage. They were trying to ruin me. Not just my marriage. My life. So I did what I should have done months ago. I sent everything, every message, every threat, every fake accusation, to my lawyer and asked what else we could do. She looked into it. Turns out Diane had violated her bail agreement by harassing me online. Tyler had violated a court order by showing up near my residence after I filed the police report. We filed motions. Fast. They were both hit with restraining orders. Diane's fraud case was moved up. And Tyler? He was served with a court summons, this time not just for divorce proceedings, but a civil case for emotional distress and defamation. And I had enough documentation to make it stick. One more twist came not from them, but from someone I didn't expect. Greg. Tyler's best friend. He called me one evening, out of the blue. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. He sounded nervous. I need to talk to you, he said. He came clean. He admitted he helped Tyler cover up more than one cheating incident. Not just Chicago. There was also a trip to Nashville, and a weekend in Pittsburgh when I thought Tyler was visiting his uncle. 3 different women. One of them underage at the time. Greg said he was scared it would blow back on him, but his conscience was eating at him. He offered to give a written statement. Testify if needed. I recorded the whole thing. That was the night I realized this mess wasn't just personal. It was criminal. And I wasn't done yet. The more I pulled on the thread, the more things unraveled. Tyler wasn't just a bad husband. He was dangerous. And I didn't even know the half of it until Greg opened that door. A week after he gave me the statement, Greg sent me another message. Hey. There's something else you should see. Something about Diane. He didn't want to send it over text. Said it was better in person. I met him at a coffee shop in Westerville. My sister came too, just to be safe. Greg wasn't my friend, and I wasn't about to take chances. He pulled out an old phone and unlocked it. Diane used to message me, he said. After Tyler passed out drunk. She'd talk about you. Some of it was weird. I didn't think much of it then. He showed me the messages. There were screenshots of Diane talking trash about me behind my back. Saying I was ruining Tyler, how she'd never let him marry someone like that if she had the choice, how I was trapping him with guilt. But then it got darker. She won't leave. She's too proud. I need to break her down. I'll get her to snap. Then Tyler will see. There was one message where she even joked about putting bleach in my shampoo. I remember getting a rash on my scalp last year. I thought it was stress. I tossed that bottle and forgot about it. Now I wasn't so sure. I took screenshots and sent them to my lawyer. Greg also mentioned something else. Apparently, a few months before our wedding, Diane offered him money to flirt with me. Said if I took the bait, she'd expose me to Tyler and cancel the wedding. He refused. Said it was too sick, even for her. I just sat there, listening, trying to wrap my head around how deep this went. This wasn't just dislike. It was obsession. I was the target of a slow, calculated campaign to break me apart. And I almost didn't notice. Meanwhile, Tyler was unraveling. He lost his job 2 weeks after I filed the civil case. He worked at a mid-size construction firm in Hilliard. When HR got wind of the police reports and restraining orders, they cut ties. Quietly, but fast. One of his coworkers, who had liked me and followed my old cooking blog, reached out privately. "Thought you should know," she wrote. "He blamed you. Said you ruined his life. Said you were trying to destroy everything just because you got your feelings hurt." She said he punched a filing cabinet and had to be escorted out of the building. I wasn't surprised. But what did surprise me was this: he tried to liquidate our old joint savings account. He must have forgotten I froze it weeks ago. My bank called me. He showed up furious, tried to scream at the teller, then stormed out when they told him I had full legal control of the account now that proceedings were underway. Tyler texted me later that night. "You're nothing without me. This all ends with you crawling back, begging. You're gonna regret this." I didn't reply. Instead, I sent the screenshots to my lawyer. Again. The judge added them to the restraining order file. 2 days before Diane's fraud hearing, my lawyer called me. "She filed a motion," she said. "She's trying to plead insanity." "What?" "She's claiming mental instability, stress-induced memory loss. Says she doesn't remember using your name or opening the account." I felt the rage rise in my throat. This woman was so evil, so deep in denial. She was now trying to avoid punishment by pretending she was out of her mind. But here's the kicker. My lawyer had already spoken to a forensic psychologist. He'd reviewed Diane's posts, her messages, even old emails. Based on his early opinion, Diane wasn't mentally unstable. She was calculated, cold, strategic. "She's sharp enough to lie convincingly," he said, "but this isn't insanity. It's control." That meant we had grounds to push for criminal prosecution with intent. She wasn't negligent. She was deliberate. And I was ready to push all the way. I'm not joking. She packed up, vanished. Her phone went off. Her email bounced back. She didn't show up for a pretrial hearing. Her lawyer claimed he didn't know where she was. The court issued a bench warrant. The police called it a failure to appear. I couldn't believe it. Then, 2 days later, my sister got a text from a random number. It was a blurry photo of me, taken from outside the hospital parking lot. I was walking to my car, looking at my phone. The message said, "Tell her to stop. Or I will." We both froze. The police traced the number. It was from a burner phone. No ID. But they flagged it as connected to Diane's missing person case. That's when it clicked. She didn't vanish. She ran. And now she was stalking me. I had gone from tired wife to hunted woman. And I was done being scared. The next phase wasn't about just getting revenge. It was about survival. It was time to end this. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was locked in, focused, and ready to finish what they started. After the photo message, I stopped going anywhere alone. The hospital let me park in the staff-only gated area. I carried pepper spray in one pocket and a pocketknife in the other. My sister stayed glued to me. I didn't even go to the grocery store without someone watching my back. I reported the message to the police. They said they'd keep watch, but with Diane officially missing, and no confirmed ID on the sender, there wasn't much they could do unless she showed up in person. So I waited. And planned. My lawyer moved fast, filing motions to get Diane's bank accounts frozen, since she'd skipped her court date. We also pushed for the civil trial with Tyler to be expedited. If I couldn't find Diane right now, I could at least take everything from the man who stood by her side while she tortured me. And that's exactly what happened. He walked in looking like a mess. Wrinkled shirt, bloodshot eyes, beard half grown in. The confident, smug man I married was gone. His lawyer tried to argue that he was emotionally provoked, that the texts he sent me were taken out of context, and that I had destroyed his career by leaking private matters publicly. My lawyer destroyed them. She laid it out clear and simple: Tyler cheated. Tyler laughed while I was abused. Tyler encouraged Diane. Tyler harassed me after I left. Tyler tried to ruin my career with a false tip to my employer. Tyler violated a restraining order. Tyler was mentally abusive for years, backed up by witness testimony, text messages, and even his own friends turning on him. Greg testified under oath. Even Tyler's old coworker sent in a statement. When the judge read the ruling, I watched Tyler's mouth go slack. I was granted the divorce, full control of all assets, and a civil judgment of $94,000 for emotional distress, reputational damage, and legal fees. He had 90 days to pay, or the court would garnish his wages and seize his property. He cried in the hallway. I didn't say a word to him. Just walked past like he didn't exist. Until a month later. She was spotted 3 states away, in North Carolina, living under her sister's name. The cops tracked her down after she used her real credit card at a pharmacy in Raleigh. She was arrested at a gas station, wearing a blonde wig and sunglasses. Her mugshot went viral on a local news page. The comments were brutal. When she was extradited back to Ohio, she tried the mental illness defense again. But the new judge wasn't buying it. Especially after we gave the court all her recent messages and that creepy photo she sent of me in the parking lot. They charged her with identity theft, wire fraud, failure to appear, harassment, stalking, and obstruction of justice. For fleeing, she pled guilty to avoid a longer sentence. She was sentenced to 18 months in prison, with mandatory therapy, restitution payments to me, and a no-contact order for life. She sobbed in court. Tyler didn't even show up for her sentencing. Her name is in local newspapers now. Everyone knows. She lost everything. Her reputation, her credit, her freedom. And the day she went to jail, I bought a chocolate cake, shared it with my coworkers, and slept the best I had in years. But I won't lie. I made mistakes too. I stayed too long. I ignored my gut. I let myself become the punching bag to keep peace. And I paid for that, emotionally, mentally, even financially. So I decided to hold myself accountable too. I started therapy. I took a leave of absence from the hospital for 2 weeks, no excuses. I cried. I screamed. I told my story to a group of other women who'd been through similar pain. I let it out. I worked on forgiving myself for not leaving sooner. Because deep down, I was angry at me for letting them chip away at who I was. But I'm not that woman anymore. 6 months later, I moved out of Ohio. New apartment. New job at a hospital in Asheville, North Carolina. A better one. I started hiking again. I rejoined a cooking group. I made real friends. I even started dating, slowly, carefully. But I told the truth about my past. All of it. No shame. And now? When I look in the mirror, I see someone who walked through fire and didn't burn. Tyler lives with his cousin now. Last I heard, he works nights at a gas station. His license was suspended after he missed too many payments on the civil judgment. His credit is shot. He's a ghost in the life he thought he controlled. Diane gets out of prison next spring. She'll be 61. Broke. Alone. Unwelcome in almost every family home she once bragged about. I won't see her again. The last message I ever sent Tyler was 2 words, never again. And the last dinner I ever made for them? That was the one that came with a side of justice. They devoured it. And then I watched their entire lives fall apart. Just like they tried to do to mine.